because there's no equality in treating everybody equal. We had a student in our school, year 7. He used to come in with white trainers on, but if you know David really well, you'll know that that's the only pair of footwear he owns. If you know David well, you'll know he's on a child protection plan. If you know David really well and you've been to David's house, you'll know he hasn't got his own bedroom at the moment. He hasn't even got his own bed. He's got a mattress in the kitchen. You know, if you know David really well, by the way, I've changed his name. His name's not David. But if you know David really well, he comes in late regularly because he dropped his brother and sister off at primary school. You know, if you know David really well, he goes to sleep at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning because that's when his mum goes to sleep and he knows she's safe. I won't keep going, but you can imagine some of the other things that are going on at home. But David's behaviour, colleagues, on occasions is off the wall. But what are our values and attitudes and beliefs? Because if you're not familiar with the wonderful Mary Myatt, and I'm sure lots of colleagues are, one of my favourite quotes of Mary's is, "Values should be lived and not laminated." I love that quote. But how many of you lovely people, even sitting with me this morning, are thinking about, you know, phrases up on your school walls or on a lanyard or a website? How are you living that? I've worked with schools, we talk about inclusion, but their exclusions, suspensions are through the roof. You know, what are people's attitudes? Because if you think about David, some of the language used to describe David told me everything I needed to know about people's values and beliefs. If I go back a slide to that word connection, I worry about some of the language we use. So I want to share another phrase with you that you're welcome to steal. And then again, I'll take another pause to check you're okay. And if you are, I'll give you more stuff. But I want to slow myself down for a second to share this phrase with you. And you're welcome to steal it. The phrase is, the language we use creates the reality students experience. The language we use creates the reality children, students experience. Now, you can change that phrase to the language we use to describe parents becomes the, you know, et cetera, the language we use. But in case you're sitting there go, what does Mark mean by the language we use creates the reality students experience? Do you ever hear phrases like hard to reach, difficult to engage, challenging behaviour, disruptive, naughty, doesn't listen? For me, that's language that seeks to blame rather than seeks to understand. So if you're asking me, in our school, we moved away from challenging behaviour to talk about distress behaviour. It transforms some staff's thinking, because David doesn't come into school to be challenging. But David's behaviour, even if you want to keep the word challenging in a sentence, people find David's behaviour challenging. Separate the deed from the doer. Still create the connection with the student, but you can still disapprove of their behaviour.